This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Point 3 FM Lagos. Guinea Bissau's military junta has appointed former Finance Minister Ilidio Vieira Te as Prime Minister. Mr. Te was part of outset President Umaru Sissoco Embalo's government. While the coup has been denounced by regional body ECOWAS and a demand for a return to civilian rule has been made in an unusual development, some have accused the former president of being a part of the coup. Joining the conversation on News Extra is Tendai Mbanje, a governance expert. Thank you for joining us on News Extra, Mr. Mbanje.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
It's our pleasure to have you with us. Can you just start by speaking to some of the things that we've heard regarding the coup in Guinea-Bissau, including the accusation that the former president is a part of it, as well as the appointment of one of his close allies as the prime minister?
I think what we see unfolding in Guinea-Bissau is one of the most confusing coups that we have had on the African continent because of the nature and the unfolding of the events itself. We have been relying so much with the reports of the observers and heads of mission, former heads of state who had been appointed by different regional bodies to observe elections in Guinea-Bissau. So what we have seen is that there is a strong feeling, there are strong sentiments that the coup itself, to some extent, was manufactured because it does not resemble the nature of military coups that we have seen on the continent or on the region in the past. So what we see is that there is a strong sentiment within the regional community that the former president has a hand in the unfolding of the so-called coup that is unfolded, and particularly in the sense that the announcement and also the recent appointments, as you have noted it. So to some extent, one could say that he had a sense that he had lost an election, and this was a way to hand over power to the allies.
Mr. Mbanje, this is interesting because former President Embalo himself has fled the country. So if you just consider that he's fled the country, although I should also note that his host country, Senegal, the president of Senegal has echoed these suspicions as well surrounding Mr. Embalo himself. So if you just consider these dynamics, we come back to how possible it is that he could be involved, and if he really is proven that he's involved, what does that mean for Guinea-Bissau?
I could not hear the last part.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
So I'm asking, if it is proven that Mr. Embalo is involved, what does this mean for Guinea-Bissau?
So, of course, investigations are underway. The ECOWAS has already probed an investigation with the Council of Elders and so forth. If it's proven like that, I mean, the election results are there unless if the military guys have destroyed the evidence of the elections. That will be the challenge, which I suspect that is the next step. You need to destroy evidence for because the election results should be announced, of the legitimate winner should be announced. So what then needs to happen is that there is need to call for a fresh election as soon as possible. But the regional bodies should then be more involved because coup leaders often do not have a tendency to hand over power. They also have a tendency to rig elections, so that is even more complex in terms of future elections that could be held in Guinea-Bissau. Because once power has been handed over to military leaders, it's very hard for power to be returned.
So Guinea-Bissau has, for the last 45 years, had 5 different coups, including this particular one. I wonder if you can speak to just the possibilities, really, that even with involvement from regional bodies or international observers, the country can find its way back to democratic footing and perhaps stay there?
I beg your pardon?
I'm asking if, given Guinea Bissau's history as a country that has seen 5 coups over the course of 45 years, if it has any bearing
Yes.
on just the idea that with pressure and observation from regional bodies and international observers, we could see a return to the democratic process and perhaps a staying in the democratic process by Guinea Bissau.
Hmm. So Guinea-Bissau was moving into a good trajectory in terms of democracy, but of course you have seen that it's one of the countries that had several military coups in the past. So what we then see is that it's going to be very difficult once a country regress, even with a small like what has happened with this coup, is going to really become challenged to really, because coups by nature they weaken the democratic institutions. Even if it has happened once after decades of having no coups. So what this coup has done is that it definitely has weakened the democratic system. It has weakened the democratic fabric and the institutions that are responsible for the administration of democracy in the country. So Guinea-Bissau has been taken decades back in terms of democratic progress with just this single incident that has happened.
Can you speak to us about the general reaction of the citizens of Guinea-Bissau? Typically, with a number of military coups, there tends to be wide-ranging support from the populace. Is that the case in this instance?
Certainly not. I think citizens were comfortable with the electoral process. They participated. Reports from international election observers and as well as domestic observers indicate that the election was peaceful, was calm, and of course there were tensions. But when this coup unfolded, the so-called coup unfolded, it was not supported by the citizens. So it's one of those coups. That's why you see that there was a lot of curfew. There was a force curfew, the attempt to block movement. International airports were closed and so forth. And there was no really popular support. I think citizens did not want it, did not support it. It is something that were engineered by the few political military elites rather. So it was not supported, and I don't think from what we're gathering that citizens are actually happy with the new administration of coup leaders.
You know, the idea of returning to civilian government would mean, ideally, it would mean that, you return to a President Mbalo who will still be sort of overseeing the process while the electoral umpire, counts the results and announces the results. Whatever the case, he would still be president. And I wonder what options there are for Guinea-Bissau in a situation where it does seem like their president is compromised and there is this insistence and call from across the region for a return to civilian rule. If the president is compromised, what else can Guinea-Bissau do? What are your thoughts on this?
I think they have to rely with assistance from ECOWAS and African Union to then facilitate actively and proactively in terms of the return to democratic civilian rule and democracy. So what needs to happen is that this issue needs to be tabled at the ECOWAS, send a fact-finding mission and do a wide stakeholder consultation meeting with various citizens, groups, and various stakeholders, and then pave a way forward based on the data that could have been found through an inquiry, and then that would then inform what could be best for the future of Guinea-Bissau. But as you know, that even a small disturbance could change a lot in terms of the governance infrastructure of a country. Right now, it's even a few days since the coup leaders came into power. A lot could have been changed. Looting could be happening. Destroying of change of leadership in different government institutions and so forth. So a lot could have happened. So and there's really a need to send a fact-finding mission that could help find a proper solution for the country moving forward.
Mr. Mbanje, thank you very much for your time on this conversation. Our guest today on News Extra, Tendai Mbanje, is a governance expert joining us to speak on the coup in Guinea Bissau, where the military junta has appointed former finance minister under the Embalo government, Ilidio Vieira Te, as prime minister. You're still listening to Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos, your Beyond the News station. We urge you to stay tuned. In a few short moments, our conversations turn to the front pages of the dailies as we bring you today's edition of the News Review. Do stay with us.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.